Thank you, Senator Polley. Senator McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President, and I rise to speak on the Marriage Amendment Definition and Religious Freedoms Bill 2017, and I do so with great hope for our country. And I thank the Parliament and the people of Australia for the enormous courage that has been taken at some of the most personal and intimate levels of individuals across our country and here in our Parliament to put forward their views on whether it's yes or no, but importantly in a respectful manner. It is the courage of our nation. It is the description of who we are as Australians when we say yes. Moving forward, yes. When the people of Australia vote so much in favour of yes, our Parliament now just has to get it done. Do it now. Do it now. That's what the people of Australia are saying, and that is our job here as parliamentarians. I stood here with my first speech to the Parliament to tell a very personal story. And I called then on Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull to legislate to allow same-sex marriage in the Parliament because we could do it. Why did I say that? From a very personal perspective, and I've heard so many of my colleagues in the chamber speak exactly from that. And I share again with the Senate what I said on entry into the Parliament about my family, about my cousin sister, a young lesbian Aboriginal woman from the Gulf of Carpentaria who struggled with her sexual identity and who was made to feel that as an Aboriginal woman, it was something she should not be talking about. And the attitudes of not just those around her, but our country, reflected deeply in her life and in the way she lived her life. But it all became too much. And at the young age of 23, she took her life. And our families have missed her terribly. And each time we talk about this issue, I know how it touches my family. The frustration, the recklessness, the inability to be able to just say, hey, it's okay. You know, who you love, how you live, it's okay. It's okay. Well, this week, this Parliament is hopefully going to say, yes, it's okay. It's okay. And I commend Senator Smith for your courage in navigating through an incredibly difficult time, no doubt on your side. We want this passed before Christmas, and Labor went to the last election with a clear and unambiguous policy that if elected we would introduce legislation to make marriage equality a reality across our nation within the first 100 days of government. The plebiscite devised by those opposite, a policy devised by opponents of marriage equality designed purely to delay the cause of marriage equality, was really not about progressing it. And certainly leading up to the survey, I reflect on how I voiced concerns about the ability of all people in the Northern Territory about how they could fairly participate in this postal survey. Historically in the Territory, we have a low voter turnout, and this is especially relevant for areas outside of Darwin. I raised in this Senate how many people live in the bush, on a station or in a town camp, and the very nature by which the postal survey was created and conducted did not support the people who lived in these regions, many of whom did not have a postal address and in some cases don't even have a birth certificate. The immense amount of heartache that was caused by the No campaign was prominent in the Northern Territory. The rumours, the half-truths and the lies spread rapidly. But nevertheless, in the face of adversity, the people of the Northern Territory stood strong and we got it done. In Alice Springs, the Central Australian community got together to paint a mural in support of the yes vote. Despite being vandalised, the little mural that could was repainted by the yes volunteer community in a rainbow reincarnation. And all the hard work of yes volunteers paid off with the Lingiari electorate's yes result of 54%. Similarly, when anti-marriage equality graffiti appeared in Darwin, community members were quick to turn the offensive message into a statement for equality. The NT News ran several campaigns in support of marriage equality, a view supported by the majority of Territorians, 60.6%. This quote from early August this year, that the time for talking is over and the public is sick of bickering and political point scoring about same-sex marriage. The Northern Territory in Australia needed to move forward. This was what was being talked about in the Northern Territory. But there are other things that occurred throughout the same-sex marriage campaign. And I want to put on the record, Mr Acting Deputy President, a very, very big thank you to other courageous people in the Jesuit community, in the schools of St Ignatius College, in Xavier College, to the principals of both and the rectors, in particular. In the St Ignatius newsletter, Viewpoint, Principal Dr Paul Hine rejected a warning from Melbourne Archbishop Dennis Hart, which was revealed by one of the Fairfax media, that staff at Catholic schools and parishes who entered same-sex marriages could be sacked. Dr Hine said it was a difficult time for same-sex attracted people who faced an onslaught from not only the media but also religious institutions. And I quote Dr Hine, "I do not know if Riverview has any LGBTQI teachers or parents in the college, and if they have intentions of marriage, I won't be asking with a view to removing them from the school," he wrote. "And those of same-sex orientation who are part of our community are welcomed and valued as part of the greater mission of the Church, and that is to bring God's love to the world and those in need of it." End of quote. The rector, Father Ross Jones, also wrote specifically about the need for compassion, love and understanding. And it was an outstanding moment in the campaign of the same-sex marriage. Outstanding why? Because those in religious institutions who believed and wanted to say yes were heartened and encouraged by the leadership of these leaders in the Jesuit schools. And I say thank you. As a former employee of St Ignatius College, I say thank you. Mr Acting Deputy Speaker, before concluding my speech, I'd also like to share a story from a constituent about the needless anxiety and trauma caused by the postal survey. On the 15th of November, after a long wait and sleepless night, and I quote, the rest of my speech will be this quote, "I sat in my car to find out how Australia had voted. Was my relationship worthy of voting yes? I was in my car because I couldn't bear to be around others. What if it was a no vote? What would I do and what could I say? And I knew I could not console others and that the pain would run too deeply. Normally I can find something in myself to support others, but this one was personal. It was my life, and that was something very different. When I heard that Australia had voted yes, I expected a huge sense of elation, and that did happen, but mostly I felt relief. Relief the plebiscite was over, relief that maybe it would not take up all the dinner conversations with my friends and family, relief that I could drop the guard and just be a little bit angry with the No campaign and the Coalition for Marriage and every other person that had minimised the relationships of the LGBTI community. No one but the LGBTI community will know what it was like to have family members would probably vote no and be terrified to discuss this out of fear of what that might mean to our relationship. Afterwards, my blood boiled when I heard politicians pat themselves on the back and say the plebiscite was a good thing and positive thing, and isn't it great that Australia said yes? That was insulting, and no, it was not a good thing. It was never a good thing. As someone said, the government outsourced the decision to Australian citizens, and thankfully they said yes. But there was a cost, and that cost was a collective anxiety that never should have occurred. So I sat in my car and reflected, and then my children rang. They were crying, laughing, of course, and asking when my partner and I were getting married. I was truly shocked at what the yes vote meant to them. My partner and I have been together for 12 years, and in that time we have gone through good times and bad. We've raised children and built a life together as a family, and my children wanted our relationship to be solidified. And they wanted it to happen not because of economics or legalities or because now we could, but they wanted to be part of celebrating our relationship. And because, as my daughter said, she didn't have to explain anymore. So now we wait again. Our anxiety's not over, it goes on. We just want to get this whole thing over with. We want our politicians to listen to the people and stop debating the validity of our relationships, which is being mixed up in a dog whistle debate about where we can buy cake for our weddings, which is insulting and discriminatory. The right to get married is so much deeper than where we buy our wedding cakes or which venue we go to. It's actually much simpler. This debate is about love. It is about love, commitment and the right to our relationships. They are to be respected and valued like everyone else's, even in the face of an extremely unnecessary, expensive and divisive survey. Love is love. Love always wins. Thank you, and that's the message from my constituents in the Northern Territory. That's the message to the Senate, and that's the message to the Australian Parliament. Love is love. Let's just get this act together, hey? Thank you.